Oh my goodness. Okay. I just got home. All right, I'm gonna have to lay down for a little bit. What the heck? Wait, who? Uh, what is this doing now? Who the heck opened my? Oh my god. All right, so even though I wasn't looking forward to anything about this case study, I actually found some pretty interesting stuff about Paramecium. So, I guess that's what I'm gonna do. Let's go. So the first thing we got to talk about is where Paramecium lives and what it does. But first, this is what it looks like. Admire it in all its glory. Yep, keep on admiring. Oh, okay, you can stop admiring now, really. Or we could just keep doing this. Nah, that's cool too. So Paramecium is pretty prevalent underwater in any aquatic environment such as ponds, lakes, stagnant water, particularly where freshwater regions are, but it could be in saltwater. It's not as common though. So what it does for ecologies is it consumes bacteria, algae, and yeast in the environments it lives in, and depending on what kind it eats in the moment, it could be good or bad. So the next thing we got to talk about is how Paramecium reproduces. So it can actually do this both asexually and sexually. In its asexual reproduction form, it uses binary fission, which is basically just a single cell splitting into two daughter cells. It's basically the same thing as something like mitosis, but just with a cooler name. Anyways, if it produces sexually, this is through conjugation, and this is just where they exchange genetic material, which leads to genetic diversity, but not necessarily a production. It is sort of chance-based there. It's also kind of chance-based, like, to predict how it would want to reproduce in any way. I'm not really sure how anybody would do that. But yeah, these two ways are the only ways they can reproduce. Both ways will result in genetically identical offspring. Ah! Yeah, I scared you. I scared you right there. I bet you feel like a fool. I bet you feel like an absolute ignoramus. Next thing to talk about is how a paramecium would adapt to an environment. So, what paramecium has are cilia, which you know is short hair used for movement. But actually, these ones can also be used for feeding itself if it wants to, sort of like a pseudopodia that I mentioned earlier. There's also this pellicle that I can use to protect itself. Many for defending itself, and a contractile vacuole for regulating its water balance. So where exactly does Paramecium fit on the food chain? Like literally near the bottom. Like it's literally the lowest of the low it can get. But it can also consume bacteria and other tiny organisms if it need to because it's heterotrophic. So what this means is that it's going to basically siphon all the energy from those things it eats, and it will in turn make those proteins for other organisms to eat. And therefore, it's so cool. It's so amazing. I'd like to take a gamble that before this class, you didn't even know that protists existed. Or if you did, they were just in the back of your mind from a different biology class. Well, is that right? I'm assuming it is because you're just looking at me like that, like I'm stupid or something. It's okay because there are literally like most people in the world that don't even know protists exist, so there's zero conservation effort to try to help them survive. But then again, there's also no documented cases of protists that are like in danger, so I guess that's a reason why there's nothing. I don't know. Anyways, there are direct threats to Paramecium despite this. Didinium, which is basically just a parasite to it, an organism, along with a few other organisms that live in the water that could be predators that would just eat it entirely. But I'm not really sure what some of those are, so you're gonna have to bear with me on that. Some Paramecia have symbionts that can harm Paramecia that don't have any, which is called a killer trait. And this is just a symbionts doing it. It's not Paramecia like intentionally trying to kill their brethren. It's just this dominant trait that sort of just works itself into other Paramecia. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but basically, symbiont Paramecia, really good. No symbiont Paramecia, But then, of course, there's the natural stuff that could affect Paramecium or other protists, like the environmental changes. Of course, the temperature, the pollutants, the chemical imbalances that people are constantly putting into the environment and could make its way into the rivers, ponds, or lakes that these guys are in. Of course, that's probably going to affect the population to some degree, but it's not going to really put them in danger of extinction. So yeah, that's about it for my case study on paramecium. Which, by the way, I think I mentioned this in the presentation earlier, but it is technically considered North Carolina's protist. Literally, probably nobody cares about that, but there's a fun fact. Anyways, yeah, that's about it. See ya.